following program is sponsored by The Greek, Ely's Radio Shack dealer, 570 Altman in downtown Ely, and brought to you as a public service by Georgetown Media in Ely, Nevada. White Pine County Commission meeting, February 10th, 2021.
We all hooked up, Mike? Yes, sir. All right. Everybody ready? Yes. Nicole?
Yes.
Good morning and welcome to the Wednesday, February 10th regular scheduled meeting of the White Pine County Commission. Would you all please stand and join us in the pledge and change the allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome. The first item on the list is we take a moment of silence, so if you'll please turn your phones off and take 1 moment for meditation, prayer, whatever you'd like, and then we'll move into the meeting. Thank you. Okay, we'll open the meeting, and the first thing on the agenda is public comment. We'll start with anybody on the phone with public comment? You have one? Please state your name and go forward.
Please, the County Commissioner, my name is Gage Dobell. I'm an attorney with the law firm Dorsey & Whitney in Salt Lake City, who is representing White Pine Water Power. I'm the attorney who helped draft the water agreement in conjunction with former Civil District Deputy Attorney Brad Pyle. The comment that I wish to make today is something throughout the meeting that has been brought up, is the actual benefit of this agreement for the ability of the county water rights to be preserved. My understanding is all the water rights of 25,000 acre feet are currently in permit status and have not been put to beneficial use for decades at a time. Under the agreement, one of the benefits that will occur to the county water rights is 1/3 roughly of the water rights, specifically permit 72, 728, and 72729 will be transferred into what's considered a new permit status, which basically resurrects those water rights so that they're not open to forfeiture status under the state of Geneva for decades to come. Once they get transferred back to the county, that'll be another change permit, which will preserve those water rights. And so although we are very grateful for the opportunity to use the water rights, we do wish to bring the public benefit that the water rights will be preserved a full third for decades to come with White Pine, Walk County, and that is due to change permitting status that will occur from what we're doing. And it's an additional benefit to the county. It's my understanding that additional water rights in other counties that have been held for industrial purposes for decades are typically been lost as the state engineers reviewing them. And so through adopting this agreement, I just wish to make it a public comment that your water rights, at least a third of them, will be preserved for decades to come because of our ability to make a change throughout the water rights procedure status. And with background, I'm a water attorney that does this work many times with both junior mining companies as well as international mining companies such as Barrick Gold, Kinross, Hudbay International throughout Nevada. And this is a thing that is done throughout the mining, and we'd like to be able to do it for the county as well to help preserve your water rights. And that is one of the public benefits associated with this agreement.
I missed your name. What's your name?
Gage Dobell.
G-O-B-E-L?
D-O-B as in boy, E-L-L.
Thank you. Go ahead. That's good. Is there anybody else on the phone with public comment right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, second person, please state your name and present your public comment. Who is it? Okay, Bill.
I had three quick questions all related to the water pipeline power issue.
Go ahead.
Okay, number one is, how do you justify leasing water rights at below fair market value to existing users in Steptoe Valley during a time of deepening drought and lowering water tables? The second question is, what are the anticipated specific economic benefits within the quote, your purpose of economic development category? And how do they compare with the financial hardships faced by the Nevada Northern Railroad to relocate their tracks and the right-of-way? And third question is, what happens to the lease should the water power project be acquired by a third party? Okay, I can email these questions in, or is the oral good enough?
Is that good enough, Nicole, the oral part, or do you want him to email them to you? Would you email them to the county clerk, Nicole Baldwin?
Okay, sure will.
And there'll be some discussion on item 1A and 2. So you stay on the line and you'll hear some, maybe they'll be able to answer some of your questions for you. And that's during the agenda item. Thank you for your comments. Anybody else on the phone? Anybody you see, Mike?
No, sir.
Okay, right now we don't see anybody or hear anybody, so we're gonna go to the public in the house. Is there anybody in the public audience that would like to speak during public comment right now? Feel free to do so. Please come forward. State your name as you come forward.
Hi, good morning. Rudy Herndon, McGill resident, representing the Shellraiser Festival in McGill. And unfortunately, we've had to postpone again due to the uncertainty surrounding the state restrictions on outdoor gatherings. We're now looking at that same weekend a year from now, so the first weekend in June. So I'll probably be coming back in front of the board around this time next year to ask some of the same requests from me. Anyway, I also wanted to hopefully start a dialogue with the county commission about restrictions on prefab housing in the county. Right now, due to a big gap in state code, restrictions on prefab housing are actually more stringent in White Pine County than they are in the state of California, than they are in Crested Butte, Colorado, Vail, Aspen, Jackson, Wyoming, Park City, Utah. And I spoke with someone from the Division of Manufactured Housing who is eyeing the possibility of introducing legislation 2 years from now to address the gap. But also been in touch with Senator Goycochea and Senator Ratty in Sparks. And Senator Ratty suggested possibly approaching the county commission at the local level to discuss the possibility of easing some of these restrictions on prefab housing for just to help promote the availability of both workforce housing and affordable housing. And so if this is something that the board is interested in, I would really like to start that discussion hopefully sooner rather than later. And thank you very much and have a good day.
And just very quick, I'm sorry for your having to cancel your event. It was sound like you're gonna come back to us. And on your last comment, and I'm not supposed to really delve into this, first step, go to the Regional Planning Commission, because that's city county combined, and I think that's your first start up as far as any issues with housing or the development. Thank you very much for your
Thank
comments.
you. Have a good day.
Is there anyone else in the audience with public comment? Please come forward, state your name. Thank you.
Elizabeth, would you like a copy?
Thank you very much, appreciate that.
Anybody else that wants a copy? Commissioners, my name is Cody Aldridge, and I'm the Vice Chair of the Water Advisory Committee and own and operate a farm in Steptoe Valley. Before I get started, I believe Commissioner Godon has a conflict of interest as described in NRS 284A.420. He has a financial interest either personally or with his parents on a piece of property located less than 1 mile from the proposed site of this project. I believe Commissioner Godon must abstain from participating in this issue, specifically under NRS 284.8.420 subsection 4 sub B. Commissioner Godon's independence of judgment is materially affected by his financial interest in and/or his commitment in private capacity to his parents. For these reasons, I believe he must abstain. I am here today to inform the board as why I believe White Pine County is making a mistake in attempting to sell or lease these water rights to White Pine Water Power. In the midst of the worst drought in 127 years of recorded history in eastern Nevada, the county is in talks with a private company to use county water to produce power. This project is not considered renewable energy and will not qualify for any green credits. In the December 9, 2020 commission meeting, questions were raised about the negative effects of this water project to the residences and businesses in the southern portion of Steptoe Valley Aquifer. It was not known before Steptoe Valley Basin is already over-appropriated in its water rights. This project is calling for water the valley does not really have available. The portion of the basin in Steptoe Valley south of McGill to south of Ely became designated by the Nevada State Water Engineer in 1980 and 1983. This was done to protect Ely and the surrounding communities from too much water being pumped for agriculture and industrial use, and in so allowing water to be preserved for the future growth of residential developments close to town. The permitted water for this project is proposing to use is located on the north side of McGill, which is outside of the restricted basin. Because the area between McGill and Ely is restricted, that means no new industrial or irrigation water may be transferred or appropriated in this area. The only way White Pine Water Power can access this water for their facility is currently planned behind Gondor Substation is through a pipeline from the north to the Kennecott tailings to the substation. The McGill municipal well nor any pipeline coming from that well can be used as a point of diversion because it is a municipal well and not designated for private industrial use. If somehow the water was allowed to be transferred into the restricted basin, it would cause enormous and irreversible effects on our aquifer. 8,500 acre feet is equivalent to 2,125 football fields, 4 feet deep in water, or 17 more pivot irrigation systems between the airport and McGill. There is approximately 1,800 acres between the substation and McGill that are irrigated with aquifer water. 8,500 acre feet is far more water than my neighbors and I currently pump out of the aquifer. I understand that this project only needs this large sum of water during the construction phase and initial filling. However, that much water removed for 5 to 7 years annually would put the aquifer at a point of negative long-term effects, affecting access to water by all residences and businesses in the basin. Over the last year, sitting on the Water Advisory Committee, I have been informed that the large volume of water KPHM is pumping into our valley through Gleason Creek as part of their dewatering program. In my role, I've expressed my concern over the impact termination and dewatering program will have on our aquifer. The mine has been dewatering through Gleason Creek since 2010. In 2020, the mine released, on average, 3,000 to 4,000 gallons of water per minute, which flows into the Steptoe Valley.
Mr. Alders, we run a strict 3-minute public comment. However, we are going to be addressing this in a public hearing. You'll be able to speak at that time during the agenda items.
Will I have another 3 minutes or?
Yeah, you'll have time to comment.
Thank
So, I don't mean to be rude, but that's
No,
what we
no.
try to really be strict about the 3-minute time. And this is the item number 1 and number 2, so yeah, feel free to
Thank
speak
you.
during that public comment. Is there anybody else with public comment in the building, on the phone?
I'd like to say.
Please come forward, state your name.
Good morning, Chairman and Commission. My name's Luigi West. I'm the president of R Plus Energies and the developer behind this project. I just wanted to go on record a couple positive things about the project, and we are extremely excited about it for multiple reasons. One is economic diversity that it will bring to the county. The second is keeping the water rights here in Steptoe Valley for this period of time. The third is that it really will be a renewable project that is going to help the state and the country as we transition from a fossil economy to a renewable. And I drove down here this morning listening to what Wyoming is going through and some of the loss of the oil and shale business that's happening regardless of any policy that's out there. It's because renewable is the lowest cost resource that's out there. And a project like this will really help to bring more solar, to bring more wind, to bring more renewable energy, and to make that energy transition so that we can still have good, clean power available to everybody at a cost-effective rate. And it's all about economics in the end. It's not about policy, it's about economics. What is the cheapest power from right now? And it happens to be solar and wind. This project will help it. It'll help keep the water here. we're building a project, we just started in Carbon County, Utah. They have a 125-year history of extracting coal out of the community, and it's been a great economy for the community for 125 years. Well, this year they weren't able to pull any new coal out of the ground, and we're employing 200 people there, and we'll have a new tax base of 30 years that is there, that is not taken away. This project will have a similar effect for White Pine County. So we're excited about it. 5 years of development, 5 years of construction, and 100 years of operation. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else in the audience with public comment? Feel free. Please come forward, state your name.
For the record, my name is Bill Butts. I'm the past chairman of the Water Advisory Committee, member of Central Nevada Water Authority, and on the Water Committee for a long time. Anyway, this deal sounds really great, but the thing of it is we only got so much water, and the mine's been dumping 3,000-4,000 gallons a minute into the valley. Now you're starting to pull the water out of the valley to supply the city. How much growth has been around town, to the north, to the south, outside housing and everything before, when they made this a designated basin. Now you've got all this water going out. You drive out to Cross Timbers, everybody's got a water permit out there. Same thing south of town. They all got a water permit. I got a water permit. And we're gonna get to the point, I don't think that the county commission did anything. We recommended at the time that they take a study and see how much water's going through the interbasin transfer into Spring Valley. Nothing happened. And it's the same thing you got here. You got all this water coming in. You've never done a study of how much this water, this valley can handle. There's a lot of extra going out already that nobody's ever measured. I think the county commission ought to stop everything, take a look and see how much water we got. And you make a water plan now that's for 100 years. And you gotta have water to take care of that 100 years. Your water plan for the water committee, that's what they're looking at. You don't have it. And somebody's gotta figure out where all this stuff's coming from, because you can't make water. And I think you better take a long, hard look at what you're doing. This thing might sound real good, and it might end up like the steam plants that's up by Winnemucca. They came in, oh, we got lots of things, and did some build up and left, and they run them from Salt Lake City. There's one guy who goes around and checks the oil. So I don't know what the employment rate's gonna be after they go back to work. The steam business didn't pan out so good for those people up there. And I think that you ought to see what this valley can handle before you start giving it away. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other public comment in the building or on their phone? I see none in the building, so George, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I want to go on record that I missed Mr. Bullis. Is he still tied up with OSHA? Mr. Chairman, on your agenda item 2C4C, you consider to approve additional White Pine County Personnel Policy 1.17 Employee Dating Policy. The policy does not include commissioners, rather elected officers. We need to expand the coverage. Mr. Chairman, on your agenda item 2C5H, you're to consider addressing the lack of a building official. You need a contract for the short term until you find someone who is qualified. I want to remind you that your last inspectors failed to do due diligence. He's failed to issue me a permit to remove my property and has allowed others to do their projects without following procedure or permits. I've told Commissioner Carson that on several occasions and repeated those concerns to this commission as a whole. You need to select a person who is qualified, is not prejudiced against minorities, and does not take joyrides to Eureka with his wife in a county-owned vehicle for lunch. Mr. Chairman, on your agenda item 2C5I, you're to consider utilizing $1,200 for contingency to cover the cost of required approval of White Pine County property for housing development. I want to remind you that you refused to sell me previous county property of appraised and advertised with no bidders. You sold 40 acres for less than appraised value. You did not entertain a second offer on that property when there was one. You need to stop selectively enforcing the law to benefit just your friends. Mr. Chairman, I'm notifying you that I'm making an official protest to the two decisions made at the last RPC meeting held on January 20th, 2021. I'm asking the county commission for review. Mr. Chairman, on your agenda item 2C5J, you're to consider the additional help with county resource to benefit Western Oil. You need to stop working on the road that Western Oil devastated. They need to bring in their own contractors. Your road department should be out taking care of county roads, period. Those that disrupted the roads need to address that issue. You cannot keep subsidizing private business. Mr. Chairman, on your agenda item 183 and 4, the commission is consider selling some of the water rights for less than the fair market value. Again, do not sell the water rights. Lease them for a small fee, or let them use it for a small royalty fee based on their income. Do not sell those water rights. They are the county's future for economic future growth, period. Mr. Chairman, on your agenda item 184, you're to consider the approval of the water use and option to purchase, approve the use, do not sell the county water rights. There was nothing in the packet for the proposed agreement. I found it on my chair when I came in. But you need to put that information out in a timely manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Okay. Is there any other public comment in the building? Anyone? You're free to. Anybody on the phone? Last call. So we'll move into the meeting. Before we do, I'll make these two changes on today's agenda. On page 5, item 4B. Page 7, item 4B is tabled. We won't be taking action on that. And on page 5, items under Tim Bunch, item 4A and B, we won't be acting on the airport manager job either, that Canada went through. So those two items will not be acted on today. And that being said, we are going to move into the regular scheduled county commission meeting. And on page 2, item 1 is notice of untimed items. Item 1 is a public hearing. This is discussion only. The White Pine County Board of Commissioners will take public comment regarding the matter of fair market value of county-owned water rights. Water permit numbers 72728 and 72729 during its regular meeting on Wednesday, February the 10th. An appraisal of the value of $100/AFA for county-owned water rights from water permit number 72728 and 72729 has been conducted and is available for review on the White Pine County website at, I guess I'll read this, https:/www.whitepinecounty.net/document center/view/6621/White Pine County Water Rights bid 1D ID. Okay, that being said, we will go into the meeting and take public comment on the matter of fair market value for the water. So is there anybody out there got any? James, would you address this, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to give just a brief overview to the commission and the public, and just include one additional legal requirement. So, public hearing is for the public to give comment and for the commission to receive that. 2 and 3 are the respective resolutions for the lease and sale, and then 4 is the agreement, which would only be acted on if 2 and 3 is approved. If the commission decides to approve 2, 3, and 4, then I would ask that can I take this off while I'm done?
Yes, please do. Yeah, go ahead.
If the commission was to approve 2, 3, and 4, I would ask that the motion include the requirements and I'll read them, but the motion just needs to include a motion to approve, including the requirements found in NRS 533.550. Those requirements are, if you have a sale or a lease for longer than 5 years, we have to make certain findings in writing. So I want to add those to the each resolution and the agreement. And then if the commission approves those, Gage and I will work together to make sure that language is added. But as long as it's added by motion, then we're good to go from there. Those requirements are the sale and lease of water rights is consistent with the prudent long-term management of the water resources within the jurisdiction, which would be White Pine County. B, the sale and or lease of the water rights will not deprive residences and businesses within the jurisdiction of the public body of reasonable access to water resources for growth and development. C, the sale or lease of water rights is a reasonable means of promoting development and use of the water rights. And D, the means by which the water rights are sold or leased reasonably ensures that the public body will receive the actual value of the water rights or a comparable economic benefit. So that's a requirement, just because the lease and the sale are longer than a 5-year term contemplated. So if the commission approves 2, 3, and 4 with the addition of that NRS, and if you want to throw to me for that NRS again, if that comes up, then I'll assist with that. Then we can add that to the language and go forward from there.
Okay, so I have a question.
Yes.
Just put it on the record, am I in conflict if my parents' property, there's never been a lease discussed, never been anything in any plans, any financial interest? Am I conflicted just
So
because it's close to?
So when it comes to individuals' conflicts, that's the individual's business. And so I would be happy to discuss that with you, but I do not want to discuss that in a public meeting. So prior to proceeding, if there's a question on that, if we could take a brief recess so I can discuss it with Mr. Godon. If there's not a conflict, he doesn't need to air out all his family business. If there is a conflict, then he needs to know exactly what he has to disclose. So I just not comfortable doing that in a public setting.
Would now be an appropriate time, because we'll be acting on all 3 of these, and maybe take a few minutes and talk to Mr. Godon?
It would, Mr. Chairman, if you.
Yeah, why don't we take the brief recess so the district attorney and Commissioner Godon can discuss the item, and we'll be right back. I think we could probably do a couple of them. I don't think we're on time, but we can do a couple other items while they're. We'll just do that, so it shouldn't take long.
You need a gooseneck on that microphone. Not everybody's coming through.
That's why we moved.
You know what the NRS says?
Well, that's why we moved the podium closer, and here we go adjusting it so that the audience could, we did that prior to the meeting. So we did the best we could to accommodate the audience and the people on Zoom. That's
Well,
why-
it's closer to you, but it's farther from us.
Well, in order to get the speakers, so we're making it.
Crank it up.
Commissioner Godon will make a disclosure, but in my best judgment, he should vote on this. Just to give a brief overview, the law favors disclosure, so if it's a close call, you disclose. The law favors and actually has a presumption that the person is not going to be biased unless it's a very clear case. So the abstention bar is very high, and in a close case, the commissioner is supposed to vote on items that are in front of them. So my legal advice was to disclose some facts, but to go ahead and vote and discuss some yet.
Okay, thank you. So,
As Mr. Beecher explained to me, so I will disclose that my parents have 150 acres on the other side of the highway from this, on Highway 93. It's on the other side, somewhat across from the substation. To my knowledge, there will be no financial increase to their property values. They have no water rights out there on that property. There's no financial interest between me, my parents, or R Plus, Lifeline, Water Tower. What else? there anything?
And just that, it is an industrial improvement, not a commercial improvement, so there's, as far as the commissioner is aware, first of all, the commissioner does not have any direct financial interest in the property. And as far as he's aware, the building of that, industrial building in that area, there's no way of